I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and it's time to get wealthy. You're going to learn exactly what you need to know and do to achieve the level of financial success you desire and you deserve. So, are you like so many Black women in particular that have gotten multiple degrees? You've went for that American dream, and you felt like that should lead you to financial success. Well, the truth is that the American dream has become a nightmare for far too many women. According to a study by the AAUW, Black women have 22% more in student loan debt than their white counterparts. Well, that certainly is the situation that our guest today found herself in. Has your American dream, the pursuit of it anyway, become a nightmare? And that's exactly what we're going to discuss today. And so these are the three things they don't want you to know. And that is that student loan debt is not good debt, and multiple degrees do not guarantee more income. And then finally, continuing to defer your payments on student loans does not really help you achieve anything, but more importantly, it just increases the amount of what you have to borrow. So when we come back, we're going to talk to someone who's going to share you exactly what she did to take ownership of her student loan debt and actually achieve the financial success she desired and she deserved.
Let's be honest, as successful women, we're crushing it. Maxed out 401k and Roth IRA? Check. Aggressive savings and investments? Check. Yet, the freedom our success was supposed to buy can leave us stuck on the six-figure hamster wheel, watching retirement slip further down the road. There's another way. Get coaching courses and community at wealthyu.com.
Welcome back to Get Wealthy. I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach. And our guest today, she was like so many women. She wanted to pursue her dream of journalism. And so in order to do that, she found herself in a lot of student loan debts. She also is an immigrant, someone who came to this country knowing that if she did all the right things, that her degrees and that student loan debt would lead her into that corporate dream of a six-figure income. Well, unfortunately, it took a little while for that dream to become a reality. And before she could actually experience it, there were some hard things that she had to face. And so, Tamika, welcome to Get Wealthy. And I'm so excited that you're here to share your story. So, Tamika, tell our audience a little bit about yourself.
Hey, Deborah, how are you doing?
I'm great. It's good to see you.
It's always a pleasure to see you. I can tell you a little bit about myself. Daughter of immigrants. My family is Bahamian, Haitian. And honestly, I believe that background is what helped me have the fortitude to be able to see this situation through. I live in Maryland now, but I came to the Washington, D.C. area to study at Howard University. I wanted to be the next Connie Chung when I was a teen. So I was going for that dream wholeheartedly since I was a teenager. So nothing was going to get in my way. And by the time I got to Howard University, at that time I was about 19 years old. And what was placed in front of me was a promissory note that said that, hey, if you sign this document, you can be able to achieve your dream, not really understanding the full foresight of what I was going to be experiencing right after college. So once I graduated at Howard University, very excited, got an internship at National Public Radio, and then I got my first real job as the news anchor for the Al Sharpton Show. And I was making a whole $30,000 at the time, which was great money. and I just knew that I was going to be able to pay back my student loans. Well, 6 months after graduation, I was hit with a enormous bill. And I was also hit, and this is during the time of economic downturn in the country in 2008. So I was not only hit with job reduction, but I was also hit and faced with the reality of a very massive student loan bill. And when I reached out to that specific loan company to share my hardship, that's when reality set in that I had to pay that bill back no matter what.
Well, you know what, Tamika, your story is many stories, many Black women's stories in particular. Yes. And so when we come back, I want to share with the audience exactly what you needed to do to get to the other side. And it all started with mindset, strategy, execution. Although you believed, like so many people, that college degree was going to lead to the American dream, the promised land, and that six-figure income, it was elusive. And so when we come back, we're going to get into exactly what Tamika had to do in order to actually tackle that student loan debt, eliminate it, and get on her path to financial security. Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay Black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and it's time to get wealthy. And today we're talking about the importance of taking ownership of your student loan debt and how we know that for far too many people, it can really delay you doing a number of things, buying your first home, and investing in your retirement plan. And so that's exactly what we're going to start with Tamika Smith. So Tamika, hey. we're on the other side of this nightmare. You found yourself when we met in significant debt. But yes. Before we go into how you actually tackled that debt, I want to talk about the mindset that you had. You went to Howard University, you got that degree, and when you came out, it couldn't have been a worse time in terms of getting your degree in the recession of 2008. What were the beliefs that you had about a college education and what it could provide you with?
Well, the number one belief system was that if I got this degree, then the world would somehow open up to me and I would be able to have financial security. And like I said, 6 months after graduation, I was hit with the reality that that was not going to be the case. And so I talk about this in a way that not being able to pay back that student loan and having to find myself in a space where I had to basically become an entrepreneur was actually my saving grace, because I learned how to be able to take the career that I want to be in and actually turn it into a brand. Well, like most business owners, starting a business from the ground up is not easy as well. So I had to really kind of reframe my mindset around how I wanted to approach this. And not paying it all back at that specific point in time was something that I had to grapple with, because like so many people, you tie your self-worth to the ability to be able to pay back debt. And so when you can't make that loan payment, or you can't clear that debt within a set amount of time, that really takes a major hit to your self-esteem. But I just kept pushing forward. I kept hope alive, as they say, and set my mind around, no matter what, I'm going to get this done. And so I started working at one time. I'm, like I said, my family's from Bahamas. People were calling me a Jamaican. They were like, how many jobs do you have? and I was like, listen, I had to cut the fray out, get focused on what I wanted to do, and understand that this process was not going to be forever, but it was going to be for right now, so that I could see myself through to the other side. And boy, what a beautiful sight it has become.
Well, it's interesting. And I really want, because talking about your, where you're from, the fact that you are an immigrant, mm-hmm. I want to get into like you came here with your family, and your family yes. came to America in pursuit of that American dream.
Exactly.
And so how did that influence your mindset about taking on, did you have any fear of the student loan or taking on debt? What did your family tell you about pursuing this college degree and the money it would take to do so?
Well, they were not as supportive as they could be, to be frank, in the beginning, because of the financial fears that stemmed from taking on so much student loan. And the fears that they had, it would basically what it would do to me. Like, do you really think you can pay it back? That was really the mindset around that. We don't have the money. And like so many immigrants, they were pushing me towards going into the military. And at this time, okay. Think about it, I'm 19, being told by my family, hey, we don't have the money. The military is your option. But I was lucky enough to had been at it was called like a college bound program in my high school. And I also met a woman who really understood the process. And so she actually helped guide me through to get into college. And to me, that was basically the bridge to that world. I didn't necessarily have my family there. Don't get me wrong. They were very supportive. They were just moving in scarcity and not in abundance.
Well, I love that you said that, Tamika, because I think the fact is that a college education is a valuable asset. Would you agree with that? Like yes. The experience that Howard University gave you in preparing you ultimately for your career, yes. Do you feel that the investment was worth it?
Oh, wholeheartedly. I believe I was, we're in a special club, if you know us HBCU people. we're in a special club. Yes. And then, when the vice president ascends, to the higher rungs of our society, and she's from Howard University, it's all over. Okay.
Well, and you know what? That's what I love. Between the AKAs, my friends who are AKAs and Howard grads, it is really scary.
Yes.
They already carry themselves at a certain level,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
now seeing and if you just look at the leadership and the kinds of accolades that have that so many graduates of Howard University or any HBU, if you look at leadership in many major corporations, you will see that is where it's been prepared. And so I by no means want to convey to our audience that I'm not pro-education. It's just that you have to look at how you're going to finance that education. And so when we come back, Tamika, I want to go a little bit into you had the mindset certainly of wanting to get this college degree, do better, but when reality hit you, it was, as you said, that you reached out to that loan, whoever the institution was who was carrying your loan, and realized you were facing hardship and you couldn't pay. What I want to get in next is the strategy that you actually used to eliminate that debt in a very short period of time. When we come back.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches. I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Welcome back to Get Wealthy, everybody. I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and we're talking about a topic today that impacts so many Black women, so many Black people, but we're talking about Black women specifically today. And our conversation is with Tamika Smith, who, when I met her, actually reached out because she was trying to figure out, how does she pay off all of this student loan debt and also increase her income. And so, Tamika, I want to talk a little bit about when you first reached out to Wealthy You. Talk to our audience about how you were feeling with the financial situation that you found yourself in?
That's a really great question, Deborah. I was confused. I had already reached a point where, like I said, I was working, a lot of jobs, had been saving, but didn't quite understand how to allocate or what I needed to know that I didn't know. Right. And so by the time I got introduced to you, I was already kind of primed in the mindset of reaching the next level. I just didn't quite understand how to get there. So when I reached out to you, we had a conversation, and the first thing we talked about was mindset. And once the mindset was created and the vision was created, then it was, all right, now strategy. One of the things that stood out to me about your program was the idea that you have to move in the mindset of abundance and move in a mindset of servitude. And so many of us move in, what can you do for me? And what can I do for you? And it's always, this volley, but understanding and moving in a space where you're in servitude of people, then you start understanding your worth a little bit more, because then you're filling a space and you're filling a gap that others need. And so I started reevaluating my career, started reapplying for positions, and even searching for a promotion within my current clients. And that's what actually happened to me the year where everything opened up for me. I was able to get promoted with a company I was already in, because at that point in time, I didn't quite understand where the gaps were until I started the program. And then after the program, I was able to kind of reframe the services and my talents differently to the company, so that I was then promoted into a role. And so by the end of that year, I was able to pay off what I needed to and have monies left over to then push myself into a 6-figure retirement portfolio.
Well, I love that you said that. And I want the audience to get that. When we talk about get wealthy, a lot of times people think, oh, it's all about the money. Actually, getting wealthy is a function of your ability to use your gifts and talents to serve others. And so one of the first, when we talk about wealth mindset, it is about how can you add value to others? One of the first habits. And if you watch this program at all and you see a theme throughout of many of the people that I'm interviewing, you will see, like Tamika, that mindset shift was really understanding her own value and how that value could serve others. So I know that the audience is saying, what? Are you saying that you were in a certain place and you were able to get promoted? Yes. So talk to us a little bit about how that wealth mindset shift, and we're going into strategy now. I know I didn't kind of tee this up. Okay. How making that shift in mindset allowed the place where you were, right? I often tell people they're 10 feet away from gold. You advocate for yourself and be able to convey your value to get that promotion.
Well, at this specific point in time, and it's always about opportunity and being ready for that opportunity. And so at this specific point in time, I say this is like 2022, so 2020, we were in the middle of some shakeup at the university and in the newsroom, and people were moving, different jobs. People were, growing into other opportunities outside of the company. And for me, this was I would say second time or third time around applying for a position at the company. And, when you don't get promoted, so often you turn it on yourself and ask, well, what is it about me that I'm not getting this? And that's a really tough question to answer. But like you talked about, it's really about understanding your gifts, and not only understanding them, but being able to communicate what you can do. So when the opening, when the opening occurred at my job, I said, okay, I'm going to go for this wholeheartedly. Like, Beyonce. I'm about to give it my all. Okay? This is about to go down. So what I did was I said, I am going to really step into this role. So I created an EPK, which is something that's very well known in public relations. It's called an electronic press kit. I said, I'm going to create a portfolio to show them my statistics, to show them what I've been doing outside of the company, how I can bring those resources to the company, show them what I've been doing in radio and television, in online, and just really take my resume and punch it up to another level and think about what are the other candidates going to be presenting. In my mindset, in my mind, I'm like, what could they potentially be presenting and how can I outdo what they would potentially be doing? And that's what I did. I even listened to TED Radio Hour talks to listen to how to best present yourself, how to get yourself into the best mindset. And what I learned is if you stand in a 2-minute superwoman pose, that actually puts you in the mindset to feel like you can just take on the world. So I did that before every interview. I had 3 rounds of interviews, and I did that every interview, 2 minutes, and I listened to Diva is a female version of a hustler by Beyonce before every interview. So, I brought my psychology to the game. I brought my skill set to the game. I tried to just shed myself of everything that had happened before, whatever traumas I had experienced. And I just really focused in on the time and the period that I was in at that specific point in time and just gave it my all. And let me tell you, Deborah, what ended up happening is I didn't get the job, okay? No, I didn't get the job, but I was so good at the interview. They said, you know what, we have to find something for her. And that's what happened. That's literally what happened.
I love it, because that's the point we're talking about, get wealthy. And that's the point we want to make, is that you got to own it. You've got to take ownership. And Tamika, listen, you could be the best thing since sliced bread, but if nobody knows about it, then how can they understand your value? It's a conversation that I've had with so many people, and something that I learned that I was coached on very early on in my own career. And so when we come back, not only did you get the promotion, but I want to talk about the actual strategies that you use once you got that increase in income to pay off all of that debt and achieve a 6-figure retirement portfolio in less than 2 years. So when we come back, we're going to talk more a little bit about the strategy that Tamika Smith had to take in order to pay off all that student loan debt and get on the right path. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Deborah Owens. Welcome to Get Wealthy. And we're having a conversation about a topic that's on the minds of so many people. And earlier we talked about Tamika's mindset, and she talked about being an immigrant and having sort of a scarcity mindset, but knowing that she wanted to pursue her degree so that she could become the Connie Chung in journalism. And so we've been talking a little bit about strategy. Tamika, I love that you focused on people working on themselves, right? Putting their best foot forward. But I want to get into a little bit more about strategy before we go to how you executed on everything. It specifically, okay, you got the increase in income, you got this job, now this promotion.
Yep.
Did you get rid of all your other jobs, or what did you do?
So what I did was a part of the strategy of, having a contract is that you then try to communicate, well, listen, I could still do this while I'm working with you. And so, let me take a step back.
Okay.
Once I learned about entrepreneurship, remember I talked about how when I first, graduated and had been faced with the debt, I had to basically get launched into entrepreneurship. And so within that experience of about almost 10 years of managing different contracts, you understand what you can and can't do. So when I went into the contract, I understood that, okay, this is radio. This should not compete with anything that I'm doing in podcast land or TV land. And so within that mindset and understanding how contracts work, it really wasn't a conversation to be had because there really wasn't any competition. So the promotion was more so of an increase automatically because it didn't really compete with any other company I was working with. The first thing I would say when it comes to strategy is don't worry about how much you're making at this specific point in time. What you need is a process, because the process will then multiply when you have more money. If you have no process, then that same chaos is going to get multiplied when you get more money. So the idea is to create a process and figure out what that process is for you. For me, it was knowing, okay, I have this debt to pay for. I have a car. I have my student loan. I have investments that I want to potentially make. I have, all these different little banks, and then create accounts if that works for you with different companies, or if it works for you to have the same company, but then different bank accounts. And then at that point in time, you can put $2, $5, $10, but the process is really what you want to start getting yourself into the habit of doing. So that once you get your income multiplied, that process is already automated. So your multiplication and your growth is going to automatically be realized. But then, Deborah, one thing that I didn't talk about when we talked about mindset is that so many people don't understand their relationship with money. And so when they end up in, trying to figure out a strategy, they don't realize that really what they have to do is go back and change the roots of their belief so that they can bear new fruit when it comes to whatever they want to do in their future. If you have roots where you're not necessarily understanding your emotional connections to money, then it doesn't matter how much you'll make, you're always going to be spending, whether it's $5, $10, $100 or $1,000. So really it's about the strategy is also like a combination between understanding your emotional connection to the money and then being able to create strategy from that space. Instead of saying, well, I'm going to create a strategy and I'm going to do this program. But if you don't understand what your own personal beliefs are to your money, then no program is really going to work for you.
I love that, Tamika, because you just nailed it. And in talking about, I often say that more money will not solve your problems, right? Mm-hmm. If the strategy you have, if you get more of it, you're simply going to create more chaos. Mm-hmm. And I love that you went back to mindset, right? Because I think that in Wealthy You, one of the things you went through is that money makeover, really, right? Mm-hmm. Really looking at, okay, what do I have? Where's my money going now? And how can I redirect that money that I already have and create a strategy to do all the things that I want to do. So when we come back, Tamika, I want to talk about the next phase, and that is execution. You're going to learn exactly what Tamika did to pay off tens of thousands of student loan debt and accelerate her financial growth to six figures and over six figures. So when we come back, we're talking strategy.
Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Pow!
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and it's time to get wealthy, and we're certainly laying out the plan for you today. If you've been watching, you know that we're talking about a topic that is a struggle for so many people, and it is student loan debt and how it delays your economic success because you're not able to pay it off and it only compounds. And so, Tamika, I'm so excited that you've been really sharing your story about the shifts that you needed to have in your mindset, about how you really leveraged your strategy to increase your income. But I love the point that you're making here is that you had to create a strategy because even though you made more income, it doesn't necessarily mean it was going to put you where you needed to. So let's talk about execution. Okay. So you have these, you went into this entrepreneurial mindset. In fact, I call that shifting from an earner mindset to an owner mindset. So now you're not looking at things as jobs, you're looking at them as different income streams, right?
Yes.
So talk to our audience a little bit about you had all these different goals. Let's talk about the first one of your first goals, and that was getting rid of your student loan debt. How did you pay it off so quickly?
So for me, I had already been thinking about, okay, I need to pay this student debt off. And I had been, piecing away at it like most people, $10 to $20 extra here, $30 extra here, but I didn't see any, significant movement. And so I, out of the many jobs that I had, I said, okay, I'm going to get a job that's going to specifically be for paying off student loan and my student loans. And what I'm going to do is get a bank account. And every time I make that money, I'm not even going to look at it. I just put that money straight into that bank account. And that's what I did. I would make my monthly payment and then I would look at, okay, it depends on what student loans, you have, but usually how it is laid out for you, if it's not consolidated, is that you'll see, okay, this is, one loan, this is $5,000. Okay, this loan is $6,000 and this loan is $7,000. And then you have your various amounts of interest. And some people, may decide to start with the one, that has more interest, or they want to go with the one that's the lower payment to get that instant gratification. For me, I did the latter. I wanted to start attacking the loans that had the smallest amount. And so what I would do is I had the job and I would save the money and just kind of say, okay, $3,000. Okay, I'm going to put that money aside until I reach $3,000 and I'm going to then pay it off. And then there are even little strategies to how you pay off the loan. So when you actually make your payment, that's when you want to put that extra money right on top of it. So if you owe, your monthly payment is $500 a month and then you have $3,000 left on the loan, you want to pay that $3,500 off in the same payment. If you delay that by even a day, there's interest that you incur even for one day. And so that then puts you behind on, your goal for your next loan. So that's a strategy that you can use when you're paying off any debt. That could apply to student loan, your car loan, anything that is that has interest. You want to make sure you pay everything off on that same day. And so that's what I did. And so the one job, and then I just kind of put money aside in the bank account, and I did that for my student loans. But, when I think by the end of the year that we had met and I had been strategizing, I still had about $40,000 left. And that increase in my income and then the strategy I've been, employing, a strategy I had been basically executing within that whole year allowed me to pull that trigger. But I must say, Deborah, I was still scared. I was like, I don't know what to do. Do I pay it now or what? And then I just had to say, you know what, Tamika, this is something you always wanted to do. Make this your goal. And I said, okay, December 31st, 2020, all my student loans are going to be paid off. My car loan is going to be paid off. So I just created that strategy and took that week and then just started going into the bank and paying things off. And I must tell you, they were shocked. They were like, so what do you want to do today? And I was like, pay it off. And they're like, are you sure you want to pay it off? I'm like, yes, I'm sure I'm going to pay it off. It's like one of those things. But I must say in 2021, January 1st, 2021, I felt free for the first time in my life. It was like a load had just melted off of me, and all of the heartache and the 5 and 6 jobs and strategizing and doing all the things that I needed to do to just strategize and execute. I felt like, wow, everything that I did, all the sacrifice that I made was worth it. And that sacrifice could be not having a coffee, 3 times a week. Maybe you have it 1 day a week, not eating out, 6 times, 8 times in a week. Those sacrifices are small, but they add up. And when you do add up those sacrifices and be able to, at the end of your goal or your journey or whatever it is, be able to, execute on that goal, that is like the most freeing thing you can ever do. And you really get to see life through a new lens.
I love that you have so eloquently demonstrated what wealth means, right? So wealth is about the ability, right, to be free and no longer feel a weight. Really is what wealth is about. Yes. And so when we come back, man, this is, I know your story, but every time I hear it, I feel so much emotion behind it because I know what it took for you to do to accelerate your financial growth.
It's
so
emotional.
When we come back though, I do want to talk about, you had a list of goals and those goals were created. And your strategy, I often say, create an account for every goal that you have, even if it's debt. But when we come back, I also want to talk about what you did to accelerate your financial growth to 6 figures at the same time where you were looking at paying off debt. So when we come back, you're going to learn exactly the strategy she used to accelerate her investment growth to 6 figures and beyond.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Pow.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Welcome back, everybody. It's Get Wealthy, and I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and we're talking about getting wealthy today in spite of the student loan debt and the other things obstacles that you may feel are in your way from accomplishing that goal. So we've been having a conversation with Tamika. And so Tamika, now I want to talk about, when you sent me that email. Yeah. No, actually, I was interviewing you and you said, and I've achieved a six-figure retirement account, which is, that's my jam. I mean, yes, I love to see you accomplishing those types of goals. Yes. And so talk to us a little bit about how you were able to do that. Certainly you got an increase in income, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But how were you able to do that so quickly?
Well, the first step is saving. So I had already been doing that. That was already in motion for some years. So, it's not that, and I just want to, make a correction here. It's not that, my investment portfolio is at six figures, but, my retirement is at six figures, which is huge, right? And so when you look at I had already been saving, right? So that pot of money was already there. And then working with companies, right? So a lot of people, when they negotiate salaries, maybe you may know this, maybe you may not, but there's also, a 401k that you could take advantage of, or, there are employer matched programs that you can take advantage of. And so that's something I had done back in I'd say 2010, 2011, when I worked with AOL and started learning about investments and reading about, how to, enter this process. I was still very young in the process, but I had thankfully been able to learn about putting monies aside and matching. So that investment pot has grown. And that was, that's money that I count towards my investment. And then with the promotion that I received with the current company I'm with, I was able to not only do the employer match program, but then also take advantage of what you call a Roth IRA. So I'm putting aside money. I mean, at this point, debt's already been cleared. So now money is just actually at this point, money has not been cleared. Not at this point, but money has exponentially grown, right? So at this point, I just have money coming at me and I'm like, okay, put this aside for investments, put this aside for savings, put this aside. And so now I'm just kind of throwing money in pots. And this is like mid 2020, I'm just throwing money in pots. Okay, put this money aside. Oh, this is to pay off student loans. This is to pay off this and that. And so by the end of the year, I was like, oh crap, I'll not only have the money to pay off the student loans, but now I'm at six figures when I look at what I was able to exponentially grow at this company, what I had done previously at another company, savings I'd already put aside. So when I calculated all of that, it put me at six figures. And it's funny because when you hit it, you don't even realize you do, because everything is so separated until you sit down and you pull out the trusty notepad and you start doing, you're like, wait a minute, I just hit six figures. And to me, it was unbelievable, because it was unbelievable. And I still get emotional as I talk about the story, because I didn't realize that I would be able to hit it so quickly. And it was just like, wow, okay, so what next? And so now I'm in another goal. Okay, now I need to do another six figures this year. How am I going to be able to get there? or okay, Tamika, you can't get that aggressive. Let's do half of that, so.
Oh, yes, you can. No, I mean, what I
Yeah.
have seen, and the reason why I love telling these stories on Get Wealthy is, and I want to ask you this question.
Sure.
So what was the difference in the struggle that you were in before and the success that you're having now? What has made the greatest impact?
What has made the greatest impact? The ability to have time to think, to be present, more present in the moments that I'm experiencing now. Back then, because of the student loans, it put me student loans and even other debt. I mean, I don't want to just say student loans because we have other debt too, but student loans definitely more significant portion of the pot, and it just made me feel like I was chained to doing whatever I had to do in order to pay this loan off. And once it was paid off, I just feel the presence of more time. People don't really talk about student loans and what it does to you emotionally, but for me, it was a trauma. It was just like, wow, I'm already a Black woman in America dealing with the woes of that every day, dealing with how to navigate newsrooms. And it's no secret that newsrooms, have had issues with diversity for years, being sidelined in my career, and still trying to be able to piece things together in order to achieve goals, right? And so it just added to the trauma that I was already experiencing. And that's the reason why I felt like, okay, I don't know if I'll be able to achieve this goal, but I'm just going to keep moving forward no matter what. But I can tell you the biggest mindset is time, being more present in the moment, and just understanding that now that I've achieved this goal, I can do anything else. Like there's nothing else that I can't achieve after doing this. And I feel like with a lot of people, they may feel like, okay, there is no way out. I had about 60 something $1,000 in student debt. There are people who are facing way more than that. I know, they're like, girl, 60,000. I wish I had the 60,000. I had 100,000. You're talking about chump change. You know what I mean? But for me, that was a lot.
Wow.
And so that trauma was it was a lot to face. It was like, Jesus, I did retail. Here I am working as a news anchor and I got to do retail. Like, what's happening? Like, is my life over? I'm stacking boxes in the back and doing all kinds of things to make my way through. But what I understood was that while I was in the back stacking boxes and selling clothes on the floor, I was still getting recognized by leadership in that retail company. And so the light bulb clicked for me. Hey, it's not about what I'm doing. It's about who I am and what I'm bringing to the table. And I could apply this to anything else. And that's what really kind of planted the seed for me to be able to attack the goal of paying off my student loans and getting to six figures in my retirement.
I love it. I love it. I love it, Tamika. You really exemplify tenacity, and and lastly, I would like for you to just share. I'm sure there are many people who are feeling the same way, weighted down and burdened.
Yes.
What would you say to them to encourage them?
Oh, that's a good question. The first thing I would say is really understand what your relationship is to money. Why do you spend money? How do you view money? Do you view money as a tool or do you view money as a pacifier? I'm going to go and just buy this thing to make me feel good for this moment. And And then do you feel guilty after you do it? Like really just kind of understand what is your relationship with money, because money essentially is a tool for you to be able to get what you want. And also money is the value that you put on it. So if the value on it is that, hey, I'm going to pay off this and achieve this goal so I can get to this next goal, then put that value on it. What I would also say is give yourself grace. You know, we've all had issues. We've all have made our mistakes. We've all had said, oh, I'm going to do this. And then, dang, I had to pay the money on this, or, you know, the light bill has to get paid. So I have to forego this in order to keep the lights on. It's okay while you're going through your journey to have some setbacks. It's okay to have a lot of setbacks, but just give yourself grace, because what happens is that when you start self-deprecating, you're then giving yourself a negative mindset moving forward. And that negative mindset won't help you get to where you have to go. So take the moment, embrace the moment of where you are, and then say, okay, I wasn't able to make it today, but I'm going to set my mind to do it tomorrow. And if you make it 50% of the way tomorrow, then that was 50% of the way you weren't there yesterday. And take that as your win.
I love it. I love it. Tamika, thank you so much. I think what you so eloquently said, particularly around grace, is don't look back, because that's not the way you're going, right?
Yes, yes.
That's right. Tamika, thank you. Tamika Smith, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story of how you're getting wealthy and taking ownership of your success. Folks, when we come back, I'm going to break it down. We're going to review exactly what Tamika had to do in our analyze, optimize, maximize part of this program. So don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
We're all impacted by the culture, whether we know it or not. From politics to music and entertainment, it's a huge part of our lives, and we're going to talk about it every day right here on The Culture with me, Faraji Muhammad, only on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Welcome back. I'm Deborah Owens, and hopefully you've gotten the exact knowledge that you needed to get in order to get wealthy, particularly around overcoming student loan debt. Was Tamika's story amazing or what? But let's talk about, let's just review. Analyze, optimize, maximize. What did Tamika do to really accelerate her financial growth at the same time paying off her student loan debt? Well, the first thing she did was, hey, in order to pay off that debt, she had to make more income. And so she really monetized her skills Actually, I often say you're sitting 10 feet away from goal. What can you do right now to really increase the amount of cash flow you have coming in? And then secondly, optimize. She looked at how she could allocate resources to each of her goals, whether it was paying off debt or saving. And then finally, maximize. I love that she shared with you that no matter what employer she had, she was looking at what benefits, whether it's retirement plans, matching plans, that she could take advantage of to, again, accelerate her financial growth. So if Tamika can do it, if she can pay off student loan debt and achieve a 6-figure retirement plan, you can too. So I hope you've enjoyed Get Wealthy, and I can't wait to share more insight on our next show.